Welcome back, friends, to Live at the Roxy. We have always an interesting show when this lady's in the building. Drew Grant in the house right now, our very own Video Drew.
What?
We're in quarantine still. I say that in case anybody's ever watching this after the fact and wonders why I'm acting as loopy as I am on the 3 hours of sleep that I actually have been getting every single night. We're going to be talking about Friends because, of course, there was Friends news today, and I love Friends. And something new I learned about Drew is that she does too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wouldn't have expected that. It's like I almost have to brace myself every time I tell somebody I love Friends because I feel like it's gonna go one of two ways. Either people get really judgy, like, really, you like that show?
Really? You like Friends? Really? Like they do like a Chandler?
Yeah. Could that be any more outdated like that? Or they're like, oh, good, I love Friends too. So I don't know. It seems to have that
How can you
effect
hate
on
Friends?
people.
Here's my thing about Friends, and it's Friends, and I think I've mentioned this to you before over like DM, which is like Friends has just unarguably the highest like joke per minute ratio I think of any show that's ever existed. Like it is just boom, 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 boom. And as like as a comedy writer, you're just sort of like, well, that's impressive. Like
It's impressive.
it's
They're swinging
impressive.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. We're also going to talk about WTF is Drew up to during this quarantine. So I actually want to kind of start there because you lived here, you lived
Mm-hmm.
in New York, and now you
Mm-hmm.
are back here. But
Mm-hmm.
do you live here? What's happening? Like I literally wouldn't even let you tell me before the show started because I was like, save it for the show. I'm so confused on your
Mm-hmm.
location. What's happening?
So I am living in the garage of Nerd Chronic, the editor of the Showdown.
Amazing.
I have been living here for about 3 weeks. What happened was about let me preface this by saying I'm Jewish, so it's okay for me to tell this story. That's always a good way to start, right? Like I'm 100.
Happy Passover to you as
Thank you.
well, from
Casa
mine to
Samea.
yours.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. It's a great starting point.
Exactly. So I've always really believed in epigenetics, which is this belief of your memory, your inherited memory gets passed down, not through like how people think memory is done, which is in your brain, but actually in your DNA. And there's been studies that have been shown of like grandchildren of Holocaust survivors who have been adopted and didn't know that they were raised by or that was their lineage. They tend to like be more nervous, tend to like more fight or flight situations. And my parents are both Jewish. We luckily, like, great grandparents escaped the Holocaust. But I feel like that it creates a sort of Darwinism effect where it's like
Where were your grandparents or your grandparents? Were they in Russia? Where were they living?
Poland. They were in Poland,
Poland.
and they like felt something weird, and they were like, maybe don't line up for the trains. Maybe let's just hijack it to America with what's on our back. Now,
So they all fled and left.
Yep, they all fled and left, which is
Wow.
how like a lot of Jewish Americans survive, and I do think that makes us more neurotic. I also do believe that that does give you like a weird spidey tingly sense about when some shit's about to go down. Now that's been false alarms before. I left LA sort of believing that the city was trying to kill me and moved back to New York after a terrible car accident. But this was like something real specific, which was
I didn't even realize that's why you left in the first place.
Oh, it's a whole thing. That's how VideoDrew was born. It's a whole story. But what happened was about a day or two before they announced the lockdown of, Schmodown was going to be, the free for all was going to be canceled and all this stuff. I kind of had a sense it was going to happen, but I needed to get out of the city. Like I just needed to. I could just tell it was
about. What are we in the first week of March, or were you in February?
First week of March.
Okay.
So the night before I left, I went to go see a Broadway play. I saw Six on Broadway, which is a really great musical about like, it's sort of like Spice Girls, but about the Henry VIII's wives.
Yeah.
And I went with two doctor friends of mine, and they were like, we're in the ER every day. Like, don't worry about this. We're not seeing this anywhere. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that. And I left for like New York, and 2 days later, I'm getting messages from them being like, the hospitals are overrun with like, with really, really sick people. Like, you did the right thing. And if you look at the numbers right now about what's going on with New York, it is terrifying. So like, mad props for like, my
what did
Jewish
you do? You felt you have this spidey sense, and then what? Then you decide I'm just going to go to LA, no plan, nowhere to go. Do you call Nerd Chronic? Do you say Is it cool or what happens?
So I'm like, at this point, I'm still like, okay, the free for all is kind of on. I've been thinking about moving back to LA. Quite honestly, I guess it's like not really an exclusive, but maybe an exclusive that Schmodown really did change my life, and it changed my life in during a really dark period. But I just so had to be moving back to New York when it started to happen. And ever since, like, in New York was my home for so many years. That's where I had my career, where I had my marriage, where I had my reputation. And I stayed there for a couple months, and I was like, yeah, you know what? The VideoDrew is kind of killing it over there. So, and all like my friends and the people that I've met through Schmodown have felt so much more like a real community to me than like a lot of the stuff I was coming back to New York. So I was already in the process of like scouting out places here and planning to move out here. And Nerd Chronic, who I'd stayed with a little bit last time, kind of saw the trend things were going in and was like, hey, if you need a place to crash, we have this garage, this like furnished garage you can come stay in.
He just happens to have a garage?
Dude, Nerd Chronic is, you know how like in the regular Bible, the non-Jewish one, there's like, you know, like the saints, I feel like, and there's like the patron saint of like, there's St. Francis and the patron saint of like, you know, lost wallets. No, that can't be one.
Sure, right.
Sure, that sounds right. But there's probably a patron saint of like lost Schmodown souls, and Eric is definitely that. Like first time I came to his house, he had Chance Ellison crashing on his couch. He has, you know, Paulo Yama was supposed to come and stay over, and me and Eric like just super bonded, super tight. Like we became super, just one of these instant click things when I came over last time for a couple of the and watched a couple of the matches, like Robert Parker's and you know, I the one that came out this week, and Pride versus Butcher Boy, which was my dude Vinny Mancuso. So yeah, I came and stayed out here. We just clicked really well, and then as soon as the New York stuff started coming down, he's like, you know what, just come out for free for all early, just come stay on the couch as long as you need, just come over. So I did, and like that was like almost a month ago. So props to Nerd Chronic, honestly.
How has it been? Like, do you have these are weird questions, but like,
no, I love
do you
it.
have a bathroom? Do you have a bed? Like, how do you survive?
I have a bathroom, so it's like so this is a like furnished garage. The bathrooms and the inside, which is where I go pretty frequently to like watch TV and to cook and stuff. There's like, you know, I sleep sometimes on the couch. I sleep sometimes, like Nerd Chronic has like a extra bed. So what's weird is that for the first time in maybe 2 years, I'm feeling way less like VideoDrew, because suddenly I have a bunch of friends. He has a couple of roommates. We've all been like quarantined together. I passed the 14-day mark weeks ago. I don't go out. So I feel like
at all, not groceries, nothing.
Not really. But then again, I was very good at not going out already because of the car accident. Like in a way, I've been training for the past year to not go out or do anything.
I don't know much about your past, and I would love to hear more. I'm sure people in here partially know, but so you keep talking about the accident and the reason you moved and all of that.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So, so if you guys remember my very first match, not like you have to, against Brendan Meyer, I came out as sort of a totally different VideoDrew. She talked like really, like she talked like this. She kind of had this like Thanos thing going on. It was all about world domination.
And that was the first that anybody ever saw of VideoDrew. Is that the VideoDrew being born, or were you already doing? Okay.
No, VideoDrew being born. I'm not an actress. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a performer. Literally, I didn't even watch the Schmodown. I thought Christian was a tech guy who happened to work at Collider, because that's where I was working. I had no idea about what was going on, which I'm glad, because I think if I had known and, you know, watching some of these people come in who come in from the fan leagues and stuff, I'm glad I didn't know what I was getting myself into. All I heard was this guy coming up and going, hey, you look like you have a good personality. So obviously Christian read that room wrong entirely. And he goes, do you want to play against this kid from the OA? And I love the OA. The second season of the OA is like me and Vinny's favorite. Like,
it's amazing.
Like, it's really, really good. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll show up and play a kid from the OA. What do I got to do? And he's like, nothing, just show up. So I showed up, and Jay Washington was there, who I kind of knew from coming in and out of the Collider offices. Right. And he'd gone, he went, do you want to be a good guy or a bad guy? And I was like, oh, what? Bad guy. Like, duh. Like, obviously bad guy. I wasn't like a WrestleMania person. Like, I didn't really understand the kayfabe, but I understood the idea of being good guy versus bad guy.
Right.
So I was just like, bad guy. And I came on to booze and like did this whole sort of very like stiff shouldered, like Thanos trying to take over the world, you know, kind of possessed person thing. I guess my original concept was that it was like, you know, like literally like an alien race coming down to like take over the world. And then by the time our next match got around, which was Eric Zipper and Paul Oyama, I had been in this terrible car accident. And I had also read a bunch of YouTube comments about my first match. So I was like, here's the deal. VideoDrew, whatever her world plan of domination was, she's now gotten distracted by what people are saying about her on the internet. And so now she's decided to pivot and become like a likable influencer. And this is just what she thinks that like influencers do. So I had on Tom, who, funny story enough, was somebody I brought on to Collider. And I quickly decided I wanted him to be my teammate after my first match because we sat across from Jeff Snyder. And Jeff Snyder liked to come up, you know, after the matches, whatever, and be like, oh, can you believe like anyone would get this question right? And he would like rattle something off and Tom would be like, yeah, I mean, that's the Magnificent Seven, or like that's that, he just knew. He just knew. And like you could watch Jeff's face get like increasingly upset as he tried to like stump Tom. And Tom's like a pretty quiet, lying down in the cut kind of guy either way. He's one of my hires, as was Vinny at the New York Observer. So I like to think I have very good taste in like I have a Moneyball sort of ability to find great talent. So I was like, hey, Tom, you want to come on this show and just answer questions? Like he didn't need to really know anything about like the Schmodown. I felt like the less he, you know, the better. Yeah. Okay. Less he knew, so that's what he would do. And he's a comedian and he worked for Cracked. I mean, he is a genius, like in his energy levels can kind of range from Tom to like really, really funny and outgoing. And I think our shtick worked really well. But that first match against Zipper and Oyama, it was about a week and a half out from the car crash. And I don't want to, you know, I know I can't like steal Mara's bit about having been in a terrible car crash right before a game. But like I was concussed. The reason I'm like sitting like this for like a lot of the match and like when I held tilted is just because I can't move my neck.
So what happened? You were in a car and you got in a massive accident?
So I was driving from Tom's house where I was doing a podcast to my friend Liana's on I-40. Is it 401, 405?
405.
405. Yeah, I've already forgotten the California's lingo here. So I was driving on the 405 to Beverly Hills from Pasadena, and I was doing in the slow lane. It's a 4-lane freeway on both sides, if anyone knows. I was in the slow lane. The traffic was clear. It was like kind of 7 p.m. at night. I was listening to Paul Oyama do a match because I was trying to get prepped. And some guy comes behind me. Like I didn't see it. I felt it. Some guy comes behind me, weaving out of like the faster lane to try to get an exit, tears off the trunk of my car, spins me into an 18-wheeler in front of me, which then like veers me into the side rail on the right. And then my steering bags explode, which caused like the car to jerk out of my control. I can't see anything. And I veer across 4 lanes of highway at 90 miles an hour and hit the guardrail on the other side, somehow managing not to get T-boned like in the process. I was like dead. I had enough time to think, oh, this is shit. I'm sorry. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, it's my channel. You could say whatever you want.
I had enough time to be really angry because I thought, where's my life flashing before my eyes? All I could think was my lawyer's going to be so mad at me because we were about to go to case for like a lawsuit for like a slam dunk case about something that happened 2 years earlier. I can still taste the metal. I can still feel all the sensations of it. And when the cops came, they kept asking me like, is anybody injured in the car? And I kept being like, yeah, like I'm still in there. Like I'm dead. Like I'm dead. Like I was like, you got to get me out. Like I was.
You couldn't get out of the car because it was that.
No, I was out of the car. I was just, I just wasn't in my right mind.
Oh,
so VideoDrew was born half out of that. You know, like I was in a lot of agony that summer. I ended up like losing my job at Collider, which meant losing my health benefits, which meant I couldn't get back surgery. I had to move back home back east. And like, honestly, the only thing that was keeping me going during this whole horrible period was this weird show that kept inviting me back on in the offices that I, had previously worked. And for some reason, you could say it was Tom. You could say it was like, the fact we kept winning. But honestly, I think that like whatever I was doing as VideoDrew like really hit a nerve and allowed me to do something creatively that I'd never done before. Like, I was not a performer. I'm not an improv art. I don't do videos really. Before that, I'd never tried a character. I don't do bits. And something happened like when I started going on stage, and especially after that first match with me and Tom, where I was just like, this is what I want to do with my life. I don't even know what that means exactly. This is what I want to do with my life. Like, I want to be VideoDrew full time. And luckily, I then had like 9 months to do nothing except lie in bed and be her.
But the way that you started this story actually was by saying that you right now, for the first time in 2 years, feel more like Drew Grant than VideoDrew.
It's hard. It's hard because
so you meant that as a negative. You don't want to feel
not a negative. It's just sort of like right now I'm watching everyone go into the VideoDrew mindset. It's not that hard to go to. It turns out a lot of like extreme isolation compared with combined with a lot of downtime, like can lead to people having like VideoDrew like things. You see people like doing weird makeup stuff or just going goofy or like saying weird things or, this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's the VideoDrew rubbing off, because it really was just a extension of, I'm like a weird person to begin with, but like it's an extension of just so much time on my hands, so much time to develop like a character who only talked in caps locks. I mean, the funnest thing for me about VideoDrew was that like she didn't even have to prove that she was good in movie trivia. I am way better in movie trivia than I've ever been able to show in this game. Because a lot of it was first season was me sort of Frank Underwooding behind the scenes a little bit to make Tom look unbeatable. Like, I did a lot of that stuff. I feel like my Schmoedown character alignment chart probably is a lot more Ben Bateman than people would think.
But do you mean that you on purpose would get things wrong to make him look better?
I would purposely not answer any question in the second round. I would we would lean in and I would always have him answer it, whether or not I knew it. Now, to be fair, Tom knew the answers, but like I also knew that, but I never played into that. I also did a lot of recon onto what our opponents were going to be, whereas Tom like showed up and did the work. I did so much research in terms of what our opponent's strengths and weaknesses are. And I would put them on the board, and I'd never put stuff on the board that played to my own strengths. I would only play to Tom's strengths, and even more specifically, the weaknesses of the other team.
Right.
Tom's pretty good across the board. So yeah, no, I mean, I specifically did things to make Tom seem like an unbeatable monster. And I felt like that, whether or not people said that I was carried last season, I certainly was. I was certainly carried last season. Tom is like got a mind like a bear trap, like that guy who used to work for Cracked. He knows everything. However, I think like they're like the tail of the tape will show from this season. There are certain things that were, that kind of looked seamless and effortless that maybe weren't so much. Like I'm not here to like talk trash about anyone's gameplay or whatever, but I never would have put Whitney Seibold and Alfonso with Festival Darlings. Just never in a million years. That comes from like not studying your opponents.
Right.
So I mean, in a lot of ways,
who do you feel like should be doing that studying?
I mean, honestly, I put that on Tom. Like, I hope this is not clipped out anywhere. But Tom has played Whitney before. As far as I understood it, Kate took the advice of the seasoned players who have played this game before, which were Tom and Paul, and let them make the final call on it, which is what good managers should be doing. Good managers should be listening to, especially if they're new, they should be listening to the people who have played the game and saying, this is what we think and we want to happen.
It's hard for me to agree with you there because only because, and I think Kate is stellar. Kate came on the show a few days ago, and as you guys know at home, I mean, she's one of the best human beings, and she has really dedicated herself to Schmodown. But and maybe you are right because you said she is a newer manager, but there isn't a match we play that I don't watch the people we're playing against every single match they've already played and have a stat list against them so that the players can focus on doing their job, which is winning. So I think that even if you're managing that team and the players say to you, this is what we want to give them, if you have the stat, if you can back it up and say, here's why that's not a great idea, then I'm not saying it's on Kate. I'm not saying that it's on Tom. I'm just saying that I think it's a really it's a collective. And
it's a collective.
Yeah.
And she is new. I just think that I don't want to give the idea that listening to your players' gut instincts when you're the new person instead of overriding them is the wrong call.
Yeah. You're right in that. You're right in that. It's a team effort.
It's a team effort. Honestly, like I love Tom with all my heart, but I think it shows a little bit like why like I feel like I failed him a little bit because I failed to like really explain to him all like the machinations that I was doing every single time to make sure that what we were picking. I remember one time we got James Bond on the wheel. We put James Bond on the wheel. I do not know James Bond from anything. And we put it against Whitney and Hoyek, who actually know James Bond pretty well. I just knew that Tom knew it really, really, really well. And I think he missed one question and the rest were total gimmies. So I would specifically play against things. I never put anything on the board for a season that was a strength of mine. Like not one. I just played to Tom's strengths and specifically to the weaknesses.
Is that because of the character, or did you not have the confidence in yourself that you would, when you put your strengths on, come through the same extent that Tom would when you put his strengths on?
Both. I mean, that's a really great question. I think I did not have the confidence. I didn't want it to be on me to be losing. I mean, people were already like, Drew's being carried. My first rounds last season were abysmal. And it just felt so bad to be like, I'm holding back this like stellar player, On the other hand, I also felt a lot like where I was helping was I was doing a lot of research.
The strategy.
Well, not just strategy, but finding out what these other teams hated. Like what were the categories that they hated doing?
Right.
And then hoping that we could get them into that. So
I think that I'm glad that you are talking about this because I don't think people realize sometimes how important the Schmodown can be. I know that's such a weird word to use, but how it has helped all of us in different ways immensely. And I hope for what we see from you in the future is that confidence to really pick the things that make you shine. And that's I know that it's a strange time to be talking about it because we don't know when people are competing right now as we are in quarantine. Mm-hmm. But whenever we come out of this and whenever you are competing, I just think that this is your year to be VideoDrew dominates.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely love being part of a faction, which I didn't think I would. I really thought VideoDrew was a lone wolf, but it actually does help me be part of a faction. I honestly think it's always, this is and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've had more experience. I think it's much more stressful to land on spinner's choice than it is to land on opponent's choice, because then you have to prove that you know the shit that you claim to know backwards and forwards. With the
There's no correcting you. You're the player. I can't imagine what it's like to feel that way when you land on spinner's choice and to feel the stress of having to, okay, now I put something on the wheel that I have to select and I should be able to get every single question, if not, via multiple choice, maybe just straight up. It's so challenging.
Especially if it's like something that that you're good, like, you've bragged about, or it's like on your tail of the tape or whatever. I mean, that seems really stressful as opposed to like opponent's choice. Hey, like that's their, they picked what they thought was going to be your worst category. And if you manage to do okay in it, like last week's Andraco and Snyder thing, they did really well for Star Wars.
They did incredible. I was so proud of them.
Incredibly well for Star Wars. That question where I love Jeff Snyder so much. I used to think that he was probably going to that he was the biggest heel the Schmodown had before I'd ever watched it. Just, based on knowing Jeff a little bit, knowing how his characters is. And then I started watching and I was like, oh no, Jeff's pretty mid-tier, maybe even tweener. Like he's
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
but I loved it when he asked that question when they said who directed Rogue One, and he goes, "That's a great question," and like answered that. I thought I was like, first of all, props to the question writer. Second of all, like I think he was not saying it like that's an easy question. I think he was generally like that's a really good question.
Yeah. Yeah, so proud of them for that round. I mean, but like you said, with spinners, that's still stressful for those guys, and having opponents and spinners for them. They should be able to pull it off, but that's got to be a very stressful situation, because then it's like if you don't pull it off, then
yeah.
how?
Yeah, and then everyone's going to get on you about it. I will say that I do think I think you guys or your team played the better game. Like
I thought so too. People made fun of me for saying that because we lost, but I think that we outplayed them. We just didn't win.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you guys absolutely outplayed them. I don't think Bateman, for as much as Bateman scares me. I'll just say that right off the bat, and I mean that as a compliment. Bateman scares me. He's like the Frank Underwood of this game. Like he's just when I think I'm good at strategy, I look at Ben Bateman and the way he talks. I'm like, oh, he's on another level with this stuff.
Yeah, he's crazy with it. He is.
For that game, I didn't think that that he had done anything super egregious over the line. I remember for the Alba thing, I was like, I would have challenged that as well. Probably wouldn't have won the challenge, but I would have challenged that as well.
It's a fair challenge.
It's a fair challenge, and Draco seemed to really get in his head about it. And I feel like it wasn't so much that who's the boss, did something dirty. I feel like you guys played the better game, and Draco got flustered or upset about that, and he could have. I'm not sure if that would have changed anything.
Honestly, the thing I feel best about is the fact that I know there wasn't a single question that Draco knew the answer to that he didn't get. He didn't know. He only missed questions that he didn't know the answer to.
And that's the best feeling in the world.
So there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, exactly. That honestly is the best feeling in the world when you're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have gotten that. So that's fine.
Yeah, with people saying with the Kelly Marie Tran answer that he should have known the answer, that he knew that he was like, I could have sat there for 1,000,000 years. I didn't know her name. Yeah. And if you don't know her name, then you don't know her name.
It was the same with us when we played our very first game against Zipper and Oyama, and it came down to the 5-pointer because I had done so terribly in the first round, and it was what do they call the box in Matilda where Mrs. Trumbull was, yeah, well, I know that now, but you could have sat us there for like days and nights,
and you wouldn't have known.
It wouldn't have known, so that doesn't bother me that much.
It can't.
However, like last when I played the Real Rejects this season and almost got a perfect first round, which would have been like great. I could have walked away with that with like my VideoDrew grin like from ear to ear, and I would have been super happy. And I missed on the question about it. Like that's gonna drive me nuts until the end of time. That's gonna drive me nuts. And still, when I play these games, when I watch Kaiser and other people play the games, I often find myself being like, oh, that's not where I'd make the challenge, or oh, like the challenge, actually, we could have done this challenge right after that other challenge was overturned. Like I think much more in terms of the strategical elements than I do the actual movie trivia stuff, only because my brain does not retain information. I can watch a movie 1,000,000 times and not know what year. And I know I could be studying note cards if my contrary defiance disorder is like, nope. You're not going to be doing that with your time. So it really comes down to like, if this is something I feel I can get into opponents' heads about, if this is something that I feel like I could game out on multiple choice, or if this is something that like we are going with a category that is so niche, so new, so obscure, or which the category is been not defined in the past. And that gives you a lot of wiggle room to play around with, and you can kind of freak out opponents with that. So like dance is a category I often like using as an example.
Right.
Like, are they movies about dancing, like where people dance, like Grease or West Side Story, or are there movies about dance as being integral to the plot? So like movies like Coyote Ugly or Magic Mike or Step Up or Suspiria. Yeah, I've had them clarify that once to me in an email, so I know the answer to that. But I feel like a lot of people could get tripped up on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good
Yeah.
point. I do want to move forward because we have a lot of questions coming in. Also, comments in the super chat. Shout out to Larry Lease, who's pimping out my stream right now. Says, hit that
Holla.
like button, guys. Oh, Roxy, you rock. I appreciate you saying so. It's always so nice when I don't have to pimp out my stream because you guys do things like that. So I really do appreciate it. I want to go into the Streamlabs.
May I ask what kind of
Streamlabs.
mic are you using?
It's a Yeti.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, cool. I'm trying to get a different mic situation right up here, but I bought the wrong one.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. I like it.
So I don't think you need a different mic.
Just like I like the way the Yetis and the A2s are kind of streamlined. This thing actually, like, it's kind of a little bulky. I love it for what it is. It's a snowball.
Yeah, a lot of
but,
people use the snowball.
Yeah, so maybe I'll stick with it. I know that the quality comes off so crisp on a couple of these, and I know I kind of sound blown out. But anyway, go ahead.
Funny enough, we were doing a Passover Seder last night with my family and on Zoom, and I did mine with this mic, and everybody else did it on their phone, and mine just everybody was like laughing because mine was coming in crystal ass clear, and everybody else was like all muffled, and I had to repeat everything everybody else said to my grandparents. So yep. Pretty much. Billy Belford says a Delaware kid made good. What does that mean?
I'm from Delaware.
What's made good?
Made good, like Delaware girl, like, makes good, like, just sort of like, we don't hear a lot about people from Delaware. For a while, that was just VideoDrew's bit, which she was like, where I'm from, Delaware, like, just like as a cover story kind of thing. But then it turns out, no, I actually am from Delaware. That's where I was raised until high school, where I moved to Columbia, Maryland. So Billy Belford is also from Delaware.
Damn.
So I loved Billy. Him and Jake came over to our house, came over to me, my sister's house, along with John Mariano, right before the beginning of season 7. We all hung out. We all ate pineapple pizza. It was a rocking time.
I don't mind the pineapple, but I do mind the pizza. I hate cheese. I gotta say, I really do.
Wow.
Corinne D says, "Love the show. Thank you, Corinne. Appreciate you." I want to go into the Streamlabs, though. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Weston Ira says it's Voxy time. I guess that's video and Roxy.
Voxy, I love that.
Now that the oracle known as VideoDrew has arrived, when can we expect the other half of the Cinema Bias duo to make an appearance on Live at the Roxy?
That'd be Alex Mack from Call to Action podcast. We have a new show called Cinema Bias where I make her watch shows that are movies that she probably doesn't want to see, like Videodrome. That's right, folks. My name is actually based on a movie. I have seen movies. My name is a movie. But I made her watch that. She made me watch Josie and the Pussycats. Then I made her watch
Josie and the Pussycats.
Yep. See, we're trying to uncover each other's, like, Did
you watch it?
Yeah.
Du jour, best band. Backdoor living.
Du jour means friendship. Du jour means family. No, it's great because what we're doing is basically, it's actually good Schmodown prep too, which is making us watch, like, one of us will make the other one watch a movie that we have like no interest of seeing, and thus uncover like some, subconscious bias we have against certain films that might actually be awesome.
I don't know when Alex will make an appearance. We'll have to see, but I will say I gave you guys my schedule for the next 2 weeks.
It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's awesome. People have been so great about this show, so I am just so freaking grateful for everybody. A lot of them coming from the Schmodown community, but it's pretty badass. Glenn Caesar in the Streamlab says, "Hi, Roxy and Drew, VideoDrew. Happy Friday. Right. Thanks for virtually hanging out with us today. Glad you're in the Rockstars band, Drew." Again, VideoDrew. I love it. I'm sure this is going to be a great show. I'm interested to learn more about you. Love you both, Roxy and Drew, VideoDrew.
That's perfect. It's because I keep giving people crap because whenever they say Drew Grant, I'm like, who? And also the idea that VideoDrew is one word, which I just think is a funny joke. I think I stole it from BoJack, which is like peanut butter is one word. And he has it on a banner. So like VideoDrew.
Is VideoDrew one word?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be a play on Videodrome, which is So Video Drew's one. Although I do like Roka's nickname for me, which is just Video. He just started calling me Video. I like
video
that.
too. Video's great.
Video's good.
Morse Code Z says, every time I watch Drew Grant outside of the Schmodown, I have to do a double take. Won't be able to watch this live, but can't wait to see what you two talk about. Why a double take?
Probably because I look like Flashpoint Martha Wayne, and like when I'm around Schmodown, I'm it's hi. It's getting harder. It's getting harder to. I feel like she's abandoned me a little bit. It's getting harder to like feel her.
Well,
like,
did you see the either the episode or just imagery of Deborah Messing doing "I Love Lucy" last night?
No, what was that?
Oh, for Will and Grace, they did a whole "I Love Lucy" episode, and what the hell's his name? Is Ricky Ricardo? What the hell's his name? What is Will?
Will from Will and Grace. I don't know. He was on that show.
McCormick.
Eric McCormick.
Eric McCormick. I think that's what it is. But anyway, he's Ricky, and she is Lucy. Whatever. You kind of remind me of Lucille Ball.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Do you get that sometimes?
I get nothing. Like, honestly, until Schmodown, people never were like, you're like so-and-so. Maybe Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, you are like Helena Bonham Carter mixed with Lucille Ball.
So the thing is, I'm not sure how many of your fans know this, if you know this about me, but up until I moved to Los Angeles in 2017, I was actually married. I was married to somebody who's on TV every day and is a pretty significant person who's in the news cycle. And I didn't really have I was weird. I was me. And I, had a full-time job at the Observer. I was weird. I always had my kookiness, but I never really, got a chance to be just go full crazy, be full weird, just try out all the weird stuff that was in my brain all the time. Once VideoDrew happened, suddenly I was like, oh wait, I'm like, this meets that. I'm like, people were giving me comparisons, and a lot of them were like really inspiring. I take a lot of my inspiration from weird YouTube series, like these weird wormhole YouTube series that I find by stuff like Alan Tutorial, who's part of this Wham City collective. He made unedited footage of a bear, if you remember that from Adult Swim. He's just a real weirdo and an inspiration of mine. There's just a ton of these weird sort of I like weird indie movies. I like cult films. I like strange stuff. So I take a lot of inspiration from content creators on the internet that are doing weird, kind of scary, kind of funny alternate reality games like ARGs and stuff that starts out maybe like a cooking show, and over the course of the year it develops as actually a show about unleashing demons into the earth. It's just so I take a lot of inspiration from doing that kind of stuff. Otherwise, she's not to sound too woo-woo, but she just comes over me. I typed in all caps for I think a year in these Facebook forum groups. Yeah, I was just that's me.
We do have more questions coming from the Patreon about that and just about you in general. Stone Fanboy says, because it's my staple question, VideoDrew, if you got frozen in carbonite, what pose would you make before getting frozen? Hope y'all are staying safe in this weird time and wishing y'all frozen in carbonite in a future Star Wars project.
Okay, so who am I getting frozen to? Is this I'm going to Jabba, or is it I'm gonna be put in a museum somewhere? I mean, either way, it's gonna be half Zarek Zoolander. It's gonna be a
subtle pose. We got a subtle pose.
So not subtle pose, but it's going to be a little bit of a cocky thing. And then maybe if it's a VideoDrew thing, it would be a little bit more of a...
Amazing. Garth McMurray says, VideoDrew, with all the planned exhibition matches, what exhibition match would you most like to be part of?
Oh, I'm in an exhibition match now. That's officially...
Has it been announced?
Mm-hmm. It was announced on SCN yesterday. I'm going to be... Guys, can you guess? Can you guess what exhibition match I'm going to be in? That's right. Rom-coms. Me and Makuga and Janine and Brianne Chandler are going against each other.
Amazing. Wait, why not Drew Guy? That's his whole thing.
He bowed out, so I saw an opportunity, and then I heard Christian say the word Drew, and then I was like, rom-coms, Drew, rom-coms, Drew. So I messaged Christian. I was like, you got to get me in on this. And he goes, do you like romantic comedies? And I went, I mean, as much of it's probably a secret strength that I don't even know that I think I'm probably better at romantic comedies than anything that I've gotten spun
I
on
had
the wheel.
no idea you were a rom-com person.
Me neither. That's how I'm pretty good about lying in the cut. I keep myself from knowing what I'm really, really good at just by the basis of like, it's not what I usually want to think that I'm good at, but rom-coms, yeah, they're a strength.
Wow.
So
All
we'll
right.
see.
So that's
We'll
what we're
see.
doing.
Also,
Donnie A. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to play Makuga forever. Makuga's
He's the best.
well, also, he gets scared so easily. Like I have so many planned jump scares for Josh Makuga. Like,
how are you going to do that via video?
Oh my god! Which you've never seen The Ring? Like I'm just gonna
Samara him.
I'm gonna Samara him. I'm gonna have like stuff popping up on the sides. I'm gonna make him scream.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it then.
Yeah, me neither.
Donnie A says, VideoDrew, what is your favorite movie snack?
My favorite movie snack. Jeez, that's pretty good. I'm a Twizzler girl. I'm not a Red Vines.
Oh, yay.
Yeah,
I love Twizzlers. I do not like Red Vines much. They're fine, but they taste like rubber. Twizzlers are so much better.
Oh, can we just stop like the games for a moment?
Stop
People, they're
the
not
games.
Just because they're both red, they're not in the same GD category at all.
They say this is an East Coast, West Coast thing.
Do they? I mean, I feel like it's a good taste, bad taste. But
yeah, I kind of feel like it's a smart people versus no taste at all people. But, you know, like to each their own, I guess. I'm really happy to hear you say that. That just makes me like you even more.
Yeah.
Twizzlers forever. Thank goodness. Glenn Caesar says, hey, Drew, parentheses, VideoDrew. Yep. What's your favorite food or go-to meal to have for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner? And also, what's your favorite dessert or late night snack? A lot of food questions.
God. A lot of food questions. Gosh, that's hard. I would say breakfast, I keep it light usually. Like sometimes I'll have like a piece or two of chocolate candy if it's lying around. Eric has like a bunch of Christmas candy lying around. So I'll have a bite or two of just pieces of Christmas candy. Lunch, I kind of usually skip. Dinner's pills. Then we're going to go straight down to like my late night snack around 6 a.m., which is whatever I can find to shove in my mouth. So.
And that's the thing that should be clipped out from today for sure. In the streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, Nappyhead says, Sucker Punch is a dance movie. Don't at me.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
It is. Whoa. Okay. I see what he's doing there. He's trying to get under my skin. Sucker Punch involves a lot of the criteria that I said dance movies must involve, which is that dance is integral to the film, just like Suspiria, just like Black Swan. They have to do the act. They have to know that they're acting. Dancing, it has to be cognizant. It has to be, diegetic into the world of the film. It has to be an important plot point. However, the thrust of the film is whether they can make the big dance contest and save the town, or and it's where we're talking about second dream state. That's like saying Sucker Punch is about fighting robot Nazi zombies. Like, it's all ultimately meaningless. The dances don't lead to a revelation or something happening within the course of the film. They are not trying to be dancers in their lives. So I would not qualify that as a dance film. But I do like to challenge things categorically, in the categorical sense, as we found out from the semifinals. I love to challenge things on the categorical basis.
Going to this, sorry that I'm moving forward so much.
No, please, I love it.
We got 15 minutes. Mike Proventure 2 says, I asked this when Dan Merle was on the show, but I feel like I'm going to get a very different answer here. Does Drew have any thoughts on Return to Oz?
That movie was like, I don't know. That movie was seared into my retinas as a child. My parents showed me a lot of movies before they were supposed to show me. And Return to Oz is relatively tame on the list. Like, they showed me Rocky Horror Picture Show before like any other musical. Like, they had a racer head on.
What are your parents like? I can't even picture.
Oh my God.
Are they both with us still?
Yes, they are.
Are they together?
No, they're not together. My dad is he's one of the head clinical researchers of the National Institute of Drug Abuse. Very, very pro-drug, though. So he's one of these funny guys who's like Fox Mulder. He works for the government, but he's a lot of government.
Pro-drug?
Yeah, he's pro-drug. He's pro. Well, like
I didn't know one could be pro or anti-drug
he's
that
pro
way.
psychedelics, marijuana.
Mm.
He was, he's pro MDMA as a way to keep to help people with PTSD and certain traumas in life. He's pro medical marijuana. He's pro some of these ketamine ketamine things are being shown to be effective. And this is what he does. He also, the reason I feel like I'm pretty good at quarantine was because when I was a child, he did a lot of experiments on animals, and he kept getting bitten by monkeys during the era of outbreak and hot zone. So I spent most of my childhood very convinced that we were all gonna die from Ebola. So I've been waiting for this moment my entire life. That being said, he's the coolest dad. The buy you tickets to Radiohead, went for graduation. Always has the cool
Our dads
music.
sound very similar.
Really? Yeah, my dad has the walls of comic books. My dad would kill in Schmodown, honestly.
Really?
He would clean up.
You guys should do there should be a Schmodown exhibition, father-daughter.
Oh yeah. My dad would clean up. Maybe not so much on the more recent stuff, although he sees all the MCU, he sees all this stuff. He loves the Star Wars. He might even be able to give Inner Geekdom a run for its money. I mean, he's in his 70s. My mom is they both were New York hipsters, they have very dark senses of humor, really dark senses of humor, really dark senses of humor.
Amazing.
And they used to try to one up each other at night by, instead of telling us bedtime stories, they would tell us horror stories that they were making up off the top of their heads that they thought were hilarious about friends that they'd found growing up with arms and legs missing. And the punchline would be Jennifer, you really got to put yourself together. And dad would come and be I can do that better. Same joke. And he'd be Jennifer, you're really falling apart on me. And I'd be okay, cool. It's time to go to bed. So that explains a lot about me, probably.
I can see it all coming together. Yeah, I'm happy. I love knowing about people's parents. It does say a lot about who people end up being. Going back into the super chat, PLD says, weird is good. We're all weird. Some let it out more than others, and they are often the most interesting. Love you too. Thanks, PLD.
Yeah, thanks, PLD. Sorry I confused you for PJ in the chat and went off on a long rant about how much Roka loves musicals before realizing I was talking to the wrong person.
Oh, it was Paul Denuzio, and you meant to be talking. It happens. It happens. Yeah. Also, shout out to Adelaide Spence, who says, so happy to see Drew here.
Adelaide, my very first fan. This is when I realized I was moving out of LA, being everyone here hates me. And Adelaide had me on call to action interview where I did a makeup tutorial as both VideoDrew and then her alter ego TV Drew. It went on for 2.5 hours. I was wearing headphones. My roommates probably thought I was freaking nuts, but it remains I was just oh man, people want to see me do this. That's crazy.
Oh, Adelaide. Speaking of TV Drew, I do want to talk a little bit about Friends because like I said, they are going ahead with HBO Max, which is coming in May. They were supposed to be launching with their big ticket item, which was this Friends reunion. We've talked about it before on the show, but it was a non-scripted with David Crane and Marta Kaufman and the 6 cast member reunion, but they were being kind of cagey about what exactly that meant or how
non-scripted. Exactly. Does that mean semi improvised, or does it mean they're just gonna go reunion Bachelor?
Unclear because do we consider Curb Your Enthusiasm to be unscripted at times? Definitely. So I don't know what unscripted to what extent and what exactly this would have looked like. They are still planning on moving ahead with that, but they are not going to be putting it with the launch of HBO Max because it was supposed to shoot in March, and obviously it was not able to. What are you thinking about HBO Max, HBO Max's chance of success, and do you think this is a massive hit to them? VideoDrew, what say you?
Well, I know that, this is just a personal background thing. I was the arts and entertainment editor for the New York Observer for several years, and one of our editor-in-chief was very, very, very good friends with Ross. With
David Schwimmer?
Yeah, I remembered his name. I chose Ross. Really good friends.
I didn't think you forgot it. I just didn't know if you meant character on the show or...
No, he was great friends with David Schwimmer. David Schwimmer would come into our office sometimes and just berate us because I think he just hated journalists. And he was like, well, here's a chance to just vent and know that they're not going to be writing whatever I'm saying. That being said, when I did interview,
I've heard such strange stories about him. Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
But that being said, I did get a chance to officially interview him for the OJ show, which he was phenomenal in.
He was fantastic.
I was like, and we had a long talk, and I actually got him to open it. He doesn't like talking about the Friends stuff, but I actually got him to open up a little bit about it. And he's just like, I feel like he feels the same way Steve Carell does in The Office. We're just sort of like, you really want to try to catch fire with them, only to be like inevitably, disappointed kind of things. But also, I think he's spent more than the other characters. He spent a large time with a sort of chip on his shoulder about being Ross, even though he's made a lot of really dark comedies. Like he's been a director, he's taken on these other roles. I feel like he more than anyone else doesn't want to stay Ross forever. So the fact that he signed up for this, I think, is a good sign. I think
I hear that him and Matthew Perry seem to be the ones that usually hold out on the Friends stuff.
Well, right, because Perry is usually unavailable, So look, I think at this point, unscripted actually would work for me. Jennifer Aniston, Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow, they have, and Courtney Cox, they have proven themselves that they can do semi-scripted really well.
Yeah, I agree.
The Comeback, like a great,
it's the most underrated comedy,
underrated show.
I don't understand. And you know what I was doing? I can't say too much about it, but I'm doing a piece for a company right now, very specific. So I was looking back at The Comeback, and it is insane to me. It's still, like, I looked on Rotten Tomatoes. It critically doesn't do that well, still, which is insane to me because that show is brilliant.
I know exactly what it is, which is like, why does that not get the recognition that Curb does? They're both cringe comedies in the same way. And it's because Valerie Plame is an unlikable character. She is somebody who, she has the right, whenever she has good instincts. She knows when things are wrong or things are amiss.
Yeah.
But because of her Hollywood conditioning, she gets upset, but she never points the finger in the right direction. So she knows someone's being sexist or she's being treated unfairly, but she will make it about something else. And it's so hard to watch. And I think especially as like a woman, you're just like, you've been so indoctrinated into this cult,
but Larry David is equally as unlikable.
And 100%. I think this really comes down to like an issue of viewing.
I know. I agree.
I love that show. I think that all of them could do amazing. The only person, honestly, and like even him, like Joey, is.
Did you watch Episodes?
I love Episodes. I love that woman from Episodes. I love her in Green Wing. I love her in Shaun of the Dead for the 2 seconds she showed up. I love British comedy. So yeah, I think they're great. I can't think of one link in that semi-scripted environment that wouldn't kill, besides maybe Courtney Cox. I haven't seen her do a lot of freeform stuff. But
you clearly need to watch her on TikTok these days because that is where she's shining.
Yeah.
I know that we do have to get out of here soon, but I wanted to talk a little bit because you're trying to help out a friend right now during this quarantine with everything that's happening. And I know that you're not doing a mask drive, but kind of similar. What's going on with that?
So I had one of these friends in college who I was constantly competing with, best friend of me, both kind of crazy, whatever. Turns out she just grew up to be like an ER trauma PA, and her husband's a doctor. They are working at ground zero at some of these New York hospitals, working 24-hour shifts back to back, given one mask per shift. I'm honestly I was afraid of reaching out to her recently because I'm pretty sure she's either dead or in the hospital on a breathing machine. And when we reached out, I said, I have a couple masks I could send you. She goes, oh my God, anything, alcohol swabs, like gloves, anything. She was like, if it's a seamless, a seamless gift card, because we need to eat during our shifts and they don't provide us food. It is horrible. So I'm trying to So yeah, if anyone's interested, please message me. I have it up on Facebook and Twitter. And I can give you guys more information. I have like her address and stuff, but I want to make it public. And yeah, I mean, these are the people that are going to be saving your lives, your parents' lives. We don't want them getting sick. So I'm planning to send out my package today. Anything like help, even if it's just like, again, like she was like, we don't have time to take like showers a lot of times. So any like skincare product, like anything to make us more feel like human beings, anything's appreciated. So that's something I'm doing. I'm also starting, I've started Video Chronic, pop culture quiz, a name I came up with, pop culture quiz.
Is it with you and Nerd Chronic?
Yep. And amazing. It's 20 questions, deep delves into one movie per episode. So, and we have contestants from Schmodown, and we have players come on, like just people from the audience come on, play themselves, like play each other. There's a little bit of a pot now of a little bit of a cash prize. We had it's awesome. It's really kind of taken off. We have Roka, who's coming in to do the next 2 Matrix movies because
that's great.
He got salty because didn't invite him to the one that Ace and Vinny did. We've had the Barbarian on for a Fargo
I've
quiz.
never seen a Matrix movie. Oh my god!
I know. I kind of want to sit around with you for the Matrix watch along. I'm like, I want in on that Matrix watch along because I've never seen the second or third. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
So I have Cinema Bias on Tuesday. So Video Chronics on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. PT, because I'm trying not to hit anybody else's show. We have Cinema Bias, right? And we have Cinema Bias with Alex Mack, which is me showing her VideoDrew, she showing me Josie and the Pussycats. We're doing Triplets of Belleville next week. I know we have a bunch of fun stuff coming up. I'm just going to show her Lynch. That goes on 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Pacific times on Tuesdays. Fridays are more my up in the air days. I'm doing your show. I'm doing Brianne Chandler's SD Best Friends tonight.
Fun.
Me and Roka have started a show possibly called Weekend at Roka's. So that's happening. And
damn,
otherwise,
dude, someone's busy.
I'm thriving in this quarantine. I was molded for this. But yeah, no, I really appreciate the chance to be on because, your stuff has been something I've been watching for a little while now. I know my intro to you was very crazy. Like I sent you about 100 DMs in a row being like,
I know we can't talk about them, but I still don't even understand it. Like I feel like I wasn't smart enough to understand what you were saying.
It wasn't you. Pepe Silva it. The only person that managed to get it, I think, was Roka eventually and John Campia, who was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. It was like layers upon layers of layers. And I feel like after that, I was like, oh, Roxy's never going to talk to me again.
No, not at all. I was just like dealing with a lot of obviously stuff on my own and trying to figure out how to live literally. Yeah. So I was like, I can't have any kind of vengeance plans right now. I just like, need to survive. But I think you're awesome. And you know that, or I wouldn't have you on the show.
I mean, here's the thing is I feel like I was let go from Collider a long time before any of this other stuff happened. I feel like I was a canary in a coal mine a bit. And I guess I had some residual guilt that I didn't know you guys well enough to reach out and be like, hey, this shit's coming and has nothing to do with you. Like it's not your fault, which is basically the takeaway that I want everyone to have. But since that, and since the Collider stuff happened, I feel like I've gotten so much closer to the Collider people that I worked with for like 6 months without ever saying hi to.
I mean, we literally, I did not know I didn't know anybody in the office that was not in that room with me. There was and then they brought in people for gaming. And I remember I went and introduced myself to somebody and they were like so concerned and confused by why I would do that I was like, I don't even know. It's just so segmented there.
It's so segmented. And that's not to say like whatever. I also had never watched any Collider shows. My ex-boyfriend was huge into them. So like I had as little knowledge of everyone else as anything else. But I think the Schmodown's really helped me feel like after that car accident and after being so in my own crazy VideoDrew world head, having all the support of the teams and the players, but also the community has really allowed me to a place now where I'm like, oh, now I'm being productive. Oh, now I'm like, I've got my shit together. Right now I'm doing more things and making more content and writing again and getting paid for journalism stuff. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I feel like I really want to pay it forward, and I really appreciate the chance to be on your stream.
Hell yeah.
So,
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to have you. We do have a couple things before we get out of here, and I'm sorry that I'm keeping you long. I swear.
Oh my God, I have all the time.
I'll get you out of here as soon as I can. But Weston Ira says, 2 of my favorites in one stream, like this is madness for my poor brain. Where can we download the thumbnail for this stream? And how about a World Girl edition of a Video Chronic quiz or even Cinema Bites?
Oh, great question. First of all, yeah, I wanted to ask you, is there any movie that you like think that you would just, or a franchise? It can be TV too. That's how we separate, like differentiate what we do. It's all intertextual. So no, like who directed, what year, whatever, who played. It's all like almost Intergeekdom style. Is there any movie or franchise that you think you would just kill?
I panic at trivia. I don't compete because I hate it. Like,
not trivia. It's more like Friends. It would be like, what did Joey get stuck on his head?
But that's trivia.
Well, it's trivia to a certain point. It's not
right. But like so when I feel like my back's against the wall and somebody's asking me a question about something I love, like if you said to me, like, okay, I think that like Charlize Theron's the best actress ever. But if you said to me in a casual conversation, blah, 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 in Monster, and I'd be like, yeah, Charlize. If you were like, who's the star of Monster in a format where, or even if it was like, who sings Smelly Cat in Friends? Like if I feel like I'm being asked something, I cannot answer. Like
I get you like that. Well, maybe
like
you know what?
Crazy.
We maybe want to. We had Kate on as a guest, Jess, for the guest. Yeah, a guest judge. Or a guest host for the Fargo quiz, so she could read them.
Yes.
We also like having people like come on and sort of give their expertise. So if there's anything like that you want to do, like please let us know because we'd love to have you on.
I would love to be there. I just the actual trivia or whatever it's called that's not trivia. I get so freaked out.
I mean, I feel you. I spaz and blank. I'm about to play Ben, the Bandit, and Robert from Late to the Party on an Office quiz. Ooh. And I feel like I know The Office backwards and forwards. I feel like I do. But like me and Ben have been going back and forth on a couple questions, and I'm like, God damn it. Are they going to ask it?
It's so hard.
Yeah. And it's so hard. It's so long spanning.
We have another one in here. Faraz Muthana in the Patreon said, what has been your favorite trivia match that you and NC have created? Also, what is your favorite TV show of all time or currently?
Oh, God, great. Oh, God. The second question is so hard. I'm such a TV nerd. That's what me and Vinny did for The Observer. We started a TV vertical. I love the show Misfits. It's a British.
Every actor comes from that show. Like so many of the stars. Yeah, because wasn't that the one that like Preacher people came from, or
Ramsey Bolton came from that. The Preacher guy came from that. Mm-hmm. It's basically a show about like shitty British kids get super, like the juvenile delinquents get shitty superpowers. One chick is like, if you touch her, you instantly want to rape her. Like that's the kind of levels of powers we're talking about.
Oh,
it is a comedy, and it is dark, and it's amazing.
That's
it's on
crazy.
Hulu. Inside Number 9 is a great British show that's sort of like if Key and Peele made Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Every episode is it's episodic anthology, so every episode is completely different in tone and style. It's crazy good. I always got to give a shout out to Twin Peaks because that's like the show with most of my tattoos, and I taught a class on it in college. Fargo. Fargo is a great show. I love Noah Hawley, and I love what he's been doing with Fargo. Always Sunny. I have an Always Sunny tattoo. So
what's the tat?
It's the lyrics to Nightman as Charlie Kelly written it. Exactly, as Charlie Kelly has written it. So it's like these weird glyphs. And I showed it to Caitlin Olsen and Rob McInerney at a Game of Thrones premiere party, and she was like, "That's adorable. Can I put you in my pocket and take you home?" And I was like,
"Oh my God,
is that for real? Because
is it a real offer? Please. I will fold into whatever way I need to fold in order to fit in your pocket, so I can come home with you."
And back to the first question, what's my favorite quiz we've done?
Mm-hmm.
I've I think my real skills, honestly, is question writers. I think I'd be a great question writer, because I do like the intertextual questions, and I think I write really good multiple choice. So the one that we did for Fargo was great. The clue quiz was awesome. Those are ones that I spent a lot of time sort of trying to like game out like multiple choices that would trip you up if you had to go to them. I mean, there's a real art to it. It really gives me a new respect for PJ and Chris, who have to write these things. They are not easy things to do. Like the way you have to phrase things so specifically, like it's a real tough gig, and it's something I'd like to move into one day.
Wow, I could see that. Also in here, Garth Harkness McMurray says, everybody check out the Video Chronic pop-up quiz movie trivia. I've done it a few times. I've had so much fun, especially bantering with the Barbarian. Watch past videos and then come join us in the new ones.
Yes, absolutely do that. We do have two of the probably the rookie of the years as the season's gone on so far. We have Ben and Barbarian playing in the streams quite often. So it's something to do. We're not trying to compete with Schmodown. We have a lot different rules, and it's very different, but it's something. If you're missing Schmodown and you want to do TV, movie stuff, we invite you to come on. Patreon people can check me out over patreon.com/VideoDrew.
It's on the screen. Look it up.
Yeah.
Go.
You can look it up. We definitely give a priority to people who want to suggest quiz and want to be on quizzes there. We also have a new series coming out that's Patreon exclusive for now called VideoDrew Reviews. That's in character. It's scripted. Yeah, we're getting her back.
What?
Yeah. That's $5 and up. And then I'm just, as soon as I finish this one article that I'm doing, I'm just going to be like making content.
Well, so, I'm happy to hear that, because it's all content that everybody wants to see. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
VideoDrew, everybody at home, round of applause for VideoDrew. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything before we go? Anything else? I think we talked about all of the masks, everywhere they can find you, but anything else, just in case I missed any of the places that they can keep up with you?
My StreamYards. I was a dummy, and I made my StreamYards a custom URL. It's videodrew.club, which has a lot of cool bells and whistles, and you can use this one-stop shop, but people are very confused that that's my Streamlabs. So that's where you go to donate,
literally you type into the URL videodrew.club, and that's your wow.
And it comes up real cool. There's like a bunch of different stuff on there, but like you could even watch the show on there. But I think it's very confusing to people that that's also where you're supposed to go donate. So check it out.
Hopefully it helps that it's on the screen right now. Jake's the shit. All the mods are. Thank you guys so much for joining. Tomorrow we do have the Android himself coming on through, Mark Andraco. That's at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And a ton of stacked guests coming throughout the week, just quickly shouting them out. And Draco's tomorrow. Sunday, we're doing a World Girls thing. I'll keep you guys posted tomorrow. I'll let you know exactly when and where, how we're doing that. Mark Knopik on Monday, Brad Gilmore on Tuesday, Emma Fife on Wednesday, John Roca on Thursday, Lauren LaGrasso on Friday, and Trisha Hirschberger on Saturday. So that's the upcoming week, guys. Tightening my hair on that one. Boom.
Roxy, I gotta say before we head out, you're one of these people that I look to as an inspiration of like, how do I get my house in order? I love these night streams that you do for your Patreon. Like everything you do is just like, it's just next level, and you keep it such a professional thing. And I know that you've gone through tech issues and life issues and stuff, but like the way that you are able to keep yourself like on a schedule and keep coming out with new great stuff is really like,
I appreciate you saying that, because it does not feel like my house is even close to in order. It feels like my shit is everywhere. So I really do appreciate you saying that. I mean, holy shit. This is me.
Honestly, if you just want to do a show of you cooking stuff while slightly, slightly inebriated
or whatever,
that was my favorite thing that happened last week. Like Eric was watching with me, and he's like, this is like one of those shows you could just he's like, you could just watch this forever. It's like watching fish in a tank, and I was like, this is incredible. This is what I want Roxy to do it all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm like you, I'm a strange one, so I definitely will think about it. But everybody, again, round of applause for VideoDrew. Thank you so much for coming on. Go support her everywhere she is. Don't forget to hit her up if you have things to offer, like masks or gloves or even skincare or gift cards, anything like that. Hit her up. It's for a good cause. And I do just want to say I just saw Isak in here, who has been an amazing fan and supporter for a long time. I believe he just said that his uncle passed from Corona. So my condolences to you.
Sorry, man.
And I'm so sorry. Just wanted to let you know I saw that. I don't see it now, but I'm telling you, I did see it. So this thing is real, and we got to do everything we can to be one and help when we can right now. So even more so, even bigger motivation to reach out to VideoDrew and help give the support that people need. And stay safe, guys. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow here live at the Roxy.
Mwah. Smash those buttons.